Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Show and Go podcast. My name is Blake Anderson. I'm your host. I am a two-time ranked seasons World Series member. It's an exclusive club, and an even more exclusive club, the 12-0 Battle Royale Club. I've made it once. I'm a champion. I know how to win. And I've got my two co-hosts here with me.
What's up, guys? I'm Anthony. I'm the newest to the game.
I'm Ryan. I've been playing since 15, and I still haven't found the hand that goes up Coach's butt. Been looking for it.
It's I'm pretty sure it's rumored to be found in the what was it, the queue from MLB 17 where all the games went. Yeah.
That's where the games went.
Yeah.
They're all in some vault somewhere.
Yeah.
One day my record will be much better in MLB 18.
Right. Once they drop all those games that got DQ'd, yeah.
Eventually. I'm waiting for it. I log in every day and check.
Yep. All right.
Didn't understand that reference, but let's move on.
Yeah. Anybody who played in 17 will understand. Like there was a point in the season where like half the games you played just wouldn't count, and it said your game was missing in the queue or something like that. And
even conquest games.
Yeah, any game, not just online games.
Against the computer, and you'd have to wait 2 minutes for it to count.
Yeah, and there was like people were trying to figure out how to like counter it. They were like, "Oh, if you wait at the final score screen for 3.6 seconds and then you click X," and it's like, all right.
Core gameplay mechanics.
Right.
What makes me keep coming back to the show.
Oh, definitely. I mean, 17 was kind of a shit show the first like couple months, but after that it was smooth sailing. I love that game, but yeah, first couple months were rough. Anyways, today we're going to be talking a little bit about the Baseball Writers Association Awards, some trivia questions, and we're going to get into our favorite finest cards and some other MLB The Show content. Let's just go off with some news that we found out today. What do you got, Ryan?
Mike Clevenger out for next year. Tommy John.
Yep.
I mean, you saw he was struggling with injury in the postseason, and maybe UCL damage. The Indians knew something that the Padres weren't as focused on when they traded him, and they were just thinking about this year and not really totally sure of the medical situation. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Anthony?
I think it's interesting that they signed him to a 2-year deal knowing he's going to have that Tommy John. I feel like I'm not surprised, though, by it, because I feel like when he got there, he was up there with Lamet as almost being that their ace, and he just absolutely shoved all year, especially once he got to San Diego. So I'm not surprised that they went all in. They're staying with the team that they have now. They just want to run it back. But obviously, when Clevenger gets back, but yeah, it just shows that they're all in, that they signed him, and they're ready to try and beat the Dodgers once he's healthy.
And I think if there was any hope that they did have a chance to beat the Dodgers next year, that's gone with Clevenger. They need to make a big ad in free agency.
Absolutely.
Preferably a pitcher, especially losing Yates in the back end of their bullpen. Not that he was there all this year, but it'll be tough.
Yeah, I think I don't see the Padres being as competitive if they don't make another move because of they kind of remind me of the Angels. Like the lineup usually has some solid guys and it's fun to watch, but then when it comes down to the rotation and the bullpen, it's just not going to get it done.
One guy that has to step up is Chris Paddock.
100%.
Finally develop into the player that they thought he was going to be, and the time for that is now, especially with Clevenger being out.
Right, because at everybody's best, you could have Lamet, Clevenger, Paddock, and then add an arm, and you've got like a solid rotation. But yeah. I mean, with Clevenger missing all of next year, you have to wait 2 years to get that, and then you're also like, I mean, the team could be completely different in 2 years. It happens, So
right.
I do think it's interesting, but I mean, I do like the move though. With that being said, just because they could have just said like nah and not re-sign Clevenger, and then he might be kind of screwed because he's probably just gonna have to wait a year.
Yeah.
And usually those guys coming back from injury where they haven't played in a long time, they have a tough time getting that like solid contract back. So at least he's getting paid for sure. He knows where he's going to be and he can focus on rehabbing.
Yeah. I mean, look at Syndergaard, for example. He went out at the beginning of 2020 when they said that the season was going to be on hold, and I actually sent Ryan a video the other day of Syndergaard back on the mound, already pumping what I would imagine is in the 80s, low 80s. So he looks like he's going to be back and hopefully back to his normal self. But yeah.
Is that the video where he's all like lubed up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That shit was so funny. I was like, what am I watching? I mean, I like it, but I was like, what's going on? Yeah, because I couldn't tell how hard he was throwing it. It definitely didn't look like he was.
It wasn't his normal
No.
high 90s, but I would definitely say he was like pumping low 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you'd have to imagine that he'll be out there at the beginning of spring training.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would assume so.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got like 4 or 5 months to keep going, and if he's already in the 80s, I mean, he'll be fine come spring training, hopefully,
Right.
barring any setbacks.
The thing, though, is if he's going to be able to sustain high velocity for 5-6 innings eventually down the road.
Yeah, that he's a tough one too because he's, almost not quite like Glass now, but he's a hard thrower. Probably not going to go deep into games though. Still going to give up some earned runs, and that's going to be hard to control, especially if the Mets are trying to contend. I mean, they were talking, Anthony, you brought this up, they were talking about JT Realmuto, or like they're in the ball game with Francisco Lindor. Like they're looking to make some big moves with that new ownership, and I get that, but I mean, how close are they? I don't think they're super close.
I think people are overreacting to the new ownership and that they're willing to make moves. I don't think that if they make these moves, that automatically puts them in contention spot, just because I feel like that division can be really competitive. But that
Definitely.
being said, the Braves were one game away from being in the World Series, and I wouldn't have if they made it, I wouldn't have put it past them to be able to beat the Rays by any means. And then the Phillies are a toss-up. I don't want to call them contenders when their bullpen had the highest ERA of all time. But they're a few pitchers away in their bullpen from being competitive, I think. And I think, I don't know, the Nationals, I don't know either. I think they're going to have a bounce-back year, but who knows? That's just a competitive division. I think people are overreacting to the Mets being good.
Yeah.
The Marlins made the playoffs.
Yeah, the Marlins made the playoffs too. So that division's up for grabs, honestly, other than the Braves. I think the Braves have that division for the next couple of years. I think the Mets have to make some serious moves to really want that.
Yeah,
they have a good start on their rotation with Stroman accepting the qualifying offer. He's a rock there, but
and if
pretty expensive.
If Realmuto does go to the Mets, that takes a lot away from the Phillies too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think I was kind of surprised he took the qualifying offer. I thought he might look for something longer, but
I thought so too.
I think he probably just wanted to be able to prove himself and really go for a deal that he was comfortable with. I don't know.
All right. Switching gear, can we talk about Trevor Bauer?
Yeah.
Of course, anytime.
Where do you think he's gonna go?
All right, I really this might be sort of a want versus like what I think is gonna happen, but I really hope that he ends up in like Anaheim or something. Whether it's I don't think they would sign him to a 1-year deal like he kept mentioning earlier.
Did you see on Twitter the bet though that he had about 1-year deals?
Yeah, I saw that, and I think he's just gonna have to get shot in the nuts with a paintball gun. Like I think he overstepped his reach there a little bit. I mean,
yeah,
that's gonna be so like I think anybody would get tired of doing 1-year deals, and like you're hurting your value once you get past like 30. I mean, if you're lucky, like 32, 33. Like if you want like something longer, I think you're guaranteeing money at the back end of your career, and by doing those 1-year deals, I think you're kind of taken away from that. But I mean, on the flip side, you could always be contending, going to a team that might win if that's what you want to do.
True. It's a good point.
But hopefully, I want him on the Angels, though. I think that he would be he'd obviously be their ace. And if they could add 1 to 2 rotation arms and then improve the bullpen a little bit, I would love to see Mike Trout in the playoffs again. But that's just me.
That's fair. Coming from 2 A's fans, I like to speak for Ryan here. I would not like to see him on the Angels.
I would hate that.
A team I would like to see him on would be a team like the Braves. I think he would carry that team to a World Series. I think because they have that young talent in the lineup like Albies and Acuna. And then I just feel like they have some veteran guys too, and I just think with that rotation, he'd obviously be their ace. He'd be an ace on most teams, that being said. But I just think that a team like the Braves would really benefit from a guy like Trevor Bauer the most.
Yeah, they definitely have some uncertainty in the rotation with Hamels. I don't know if he's under contract for next year, but even still, he's almost 38, pushing 40.
I saw that they lost Smiley. Too.
And then Soroka had the ACL. It's unclear when he's coming back. ACL or Achilles? Do you know?
I thought it was his Achilles.
I thought it was Achilles.
Yeah, you're right. And then Fried, he did really well this year, but you don't really know how proven he is, along with Anderson, who kind of blew up in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Has the tickets, just can't get through onto the field.
He just couldn't get through. He just couldn't get through security, dude. He had too many guns, you know.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. No. I mean, I think that there's a lot of places where Trevor Bauer just instantly makes the team like either a playoff contender or just way more fun to watch.
Yeah.
Like I said, though, I think even if he signs a 1-year deal this year, I can't see him doing that the rest of his career. That's going to be really hard to manage, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't think it really makes financial sense unless he starts doing like a 1-year deal for like $30 or $40 million. Then it's like, okay, maybe, you know?
I was reading something though, because you know how he has his own brand and media brand with him too.
Right. Yeah.
And I think he's going to keep that with him no matter where he goes. I think that's a big thing to him. I heard reports saying that the Yankees wouldn't want him to carry that if he was to go to the Yankees. Like, Yankees management wouldn't want him to have that with him.
Yeah, if any team was going to have a problem with Bauer managing his own YouTube channel, media company, and, like, changing the game, it's going to be the fucking Yankees. Like, they are not going to put up with that.
Hair, so.
Right, you're not allowed to grow a beard. Like, and you think they're going to let you have a YouTube channel? Like, no shot. No shot. So and honestly, he just doesn't seem like a Yankees guy. He doesn't seem like the
I was going to say that I don't see him fitting that. Like, he would make the team better, but it doesn't fit him or his personality. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like,
and as much as they talked about the beef with Garrett Cole being past them, that's probably in part because they've been away for so long.
Mm-hmm.
Putting them back together as teammates like they were in UCLA, that's some butting heads. And
right.
Cole
I
and
hear
Bauer both have big egos and would get paid big time.
Yeah.
Right. I think both of them want to be an ace, and you know whether I've heard that there's beef. I've heard them both say that there isn't beef, and then it's like, are you just saying that to be polite in public? Like, what? It's just, they both seem like big personalities that want to be at the top of the rotation. So
definitely.
Having them on the same team might not be the smartest thing, but who knows? You know.
Yeah, and I just think Bauer being more of an outspoken guy, sharing his opinion on stuff, whether it's negative or positive. I don't think like the Yankees would really like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I feel like they would rather just have someone that's going to come in, do their work, and that's all they really do.
Props to them though for letting one player continue his brand. Brett Gardner has done amazing with the Mr. Clean line. It's just phenomenal. He's set up for the rest of his life.
Yeah, and like, it's just interesting that they make the exception for Gardner, you know, because like, rumor has it that Ellsbury got to New York and then he tried to grow facial hair, and you know he wanted to do this whole new beard thing, and they just like, he's gone, just never played again. You know what I mean? That's what happens when you defy the Yankees. Like, evil empire is quite literally evil.
They also gave Gardner his own TV show about his childhood, Caillou.
I thought that was a documentary, and I knew it. Yeah. The animation threw me off.
Caillou is just code for Brett Gardner in another language.
Well, because his name's Brett Caillou Gardner. It's his middle name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
In that show, though, he's like a little baby, and that finally came out of Brett Gardner's adult personality when he banged the dugout with the bat.
Well, see, I think that's a common misconception is that in Caillou, he's supposed to be the same age he is now. It's just the kid look is just an animation like metaphor type of deal. So it's an interesting situation, but props for the Yankees for letting it fly.
Yeah,
classy organization.
Definitely.
Unlike Boston. Oh man, Alex Cora. I mean, okay, it's one thing. He was caught cheating in Houston. Okay, that's cool. He leaves Houston, becomes a manager at Boston. Okay, fresh start. He's immediately caught in a cheating scandal. Okay.
That one was also...
So it's a coincidence that the only two cheating scandals that have led to suspensions and fines and stuff in the past few years have both been led by a team with Alex Cora in them.
Okay, here's my answer to that. Patriots upbringing has told me no comment. But I'm going to make a comment. Because this isn't the Patriots, this is the Red Sox. I'll play devil's advocate here for a little bit. I think that, no, it's not a coincidence that both teams that got caught had Alex Cora on them. What I do think is that there's definitely more teams that have been doing the same sorts of things that did not get caught. And I'm not necessarily talking about the Astros with the trash can banging. I'm talking more of using the replay room to like decode signs after a game, because this is a common misconception. The Red Sox did not have signs being relayed to them in real time. They might have tried that with the Apple Watches and John Farrell, but it didn't work. So that's long gone. And then with the Alex Cora thing, they weren't having signs relayed in real time. They were just using the replay room to decode signs. So,
cool. So they were just cheating in a different way.
Exactly, in a more morally acceptable way, in my opinion. And additionally, there were minor league players and other journalists, even in the article that blew up the Astros scandal, they mentioned that the Yankees and Dodgers got caught for doing the same thing. But the problem is that the league caught the Dodgers, the Yankees, and the Red Sox looking at signs through the replay room, right? And then after 2017, they said, you guys can't do this anymore. Or I may be messing up the timeline here because I'm just reciting it from memory, but there was a certain point where they realized what they were doing, and there was no rule against it because the replay room was relatively new. And so they said, you guys can't do this.
They sent out the memo to all the GMs and all the managers and told them, make sure nobody in your organization is doing this or you're all going to get punished.
Right. And so, lo and behold, Alex Cora tried it again because, hey, we all don't like change. It happens, man. Sometimes you just get into that muscle memory of, hey, we're kind of struggling. Let me go check the replay room and see what's going on. Everybody does it. Some people just use it in a smarter way, and it happened and it's gone, I mean, honestly, the other thing too was that the suspension that he served was for what he did with the Astros. They never charged him per se for what came out of the Red Sox investigation, which took like a long ass time, by the way, because I don't think they found anything that they thought people would really care about. So, I mean, that's sort of my perspective. Also, I really didn't want to talk about this. There's like a caveat where the players in the Astros scandal who came forward and told the truth were granted immunity and only coaches and executives could be punished. So, sure, Alex Cora, AJ Hinch, and what was his name, Jeff Lunau, all gone, all fired. But how much are we blaming the coaches? Because I feel like if we're really blaming Alex Cora, like, it's like we're not even paying attention to the people who actually cheated, like the players. And I mean, and it's really interesting that Alex Cora came out as the mastermind of the whole Astros thing after he had already left the organization. Like, it's entirely possible that they're like, we're just throwing him under the bus, you know? I mean, he's the only person that left after that, so I don't know, man. It's a lot of possibilities, a lot of conspiracy theories, you know? But one thing we can count on is the integrity of the league, you know? That's what baseball's known for, you know. Just
Rob Manfred stays undefeated.
He does. All I'll say. He does. He's never taken an L. Baseball has been completely pure for its more than 100-year existence, and you know the Hall of Fame reflects that. So let's just keep it that way, you know.
Speaking of the Hall of Fame, let's move into the ballot.
Oh yeah, the super underwhelming ballot where we got our top 3 guys of. What was it? Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, and Curt Schilling.
Yep. Miguel Tejada was snubbed.
Would he get any votes, though?
No, but he was snubbed from the ballot.
Yeah.
Well, Grady Sizemore was left off, and I was waiting for Fuzzy's Twitter thread ranting about why he deserved to be on. And, you know, unfortunately, I haven't seen that yet, so I'm hoping it comes soon.
So, of the guys that are on their first year on the ballot, do you guys have any picks that are absolute locks to get in? I haven't. Huh?
None of them.
None of them? No. Yeah,
I agree. It sucks to say, but it's a little bit underwhelming. I think
it is. It definitely is.
I think there's a chance nobody gets in.
No one?
Yeah.
I think this is the year for Schilling to get in.
Really?
Yes. Because you'll have guys who still put 10 people on their ballot every year. And
yeah.
Do you think
every single one of those people would put Schilling as one of those names?
Does Todd Helton get in this year?
No. He'll move closer, but he won't get in.
That's fair. What about how close? I don't think he gets in, but how close does Barry Bonds get?
What was his percentage last year? Low 70s, 72?
60.7.
60.7.
Wait, 60?
60.7.
Oh.
Clemens was at 61, Schilling at 70.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think this is the year Schilling gets in.
I think Bonds and Clemens both get about 5 to 10% bump and then get in next year. Because that 10th year, they'll definitely get a surge.
Well, see, the difference between this year and next year is that next year's ballot has David Ortiz on it, if I'm not mistaken, and he's going to be a unanimous vote. So that's just somebody that's knocked off somebody's ballot, you know?
I'm sorry, he won't be unanimous.
A DH not getting Hall of Fame votes? I've never heard of that.
Martinez took, 6 years to get in?
I thought he got in on his last ballot.
Yeah, last ballot. So 10, 15 years. There's no way. Plus, he didn't even have any drug tests. Or wasn't named in any reports, I'm sorry. So that could turn people off to voting Big Papi.
Yeah, I think with David Ortiz versus Edgar Martinez, sorry, I feel like now that Martinez kind of got in before him, people are going to be way more inclined to vote Ortiz, and I think he had allegations early in his career with steroids, but I think he had enough longevity to where they were doing consistent testing and stuff to where, you know, I don't know whether he did or not, but I think people really weren't worried about it towards the end of his career, and I like you said, he's not going to be unanimous, but I would like to think that he gets in first ballot, but maybe people's minds weren't changed enough. Maybe they think the DH thing is still pretty prevalent, even though Martinez got in, you know.
Right.
And
I don't know. David Ortiz not getting in unanimously might be a stab in the back or shot in the back, you might say.
that's not funny. Saw that coming from a mile away, and it's you can make that joke because he's okay.
Yeah.
Don't edit out this pause, Blake. We need to keep this in. so the listeners can groan along with us.
Right. I'll give him 5 seconds to just think over what just happened. All right, let's go.
Assuming they know what even that was referring to.
Any baseball fan that's over the age of 12 is gonna know. Anyways, I think.
Or they can guess it with a shot in the dark or something.
Moving on.
I'm outnumbered here. It's one Red Sox fan and 2 A's fans. That's unfair. You guys have to disagree on something.
To be fair, Blake, you're also dating an A's fan.
Yeah, everybody in my life is an A's fan, so I just.
No mercy. You stole Billy Bean.
Billy Bean's not going to do anything for the Red Sox, bro. They just bought him out. Means nothing. Anyways, one thing that blows me away about the Hall of Fame ballot right now is that Billy Wagner hasn't gotten in.
Yeah.
Like,
it's ridiculous.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but top 3 reliever of all time, right? Like,
arguably.
I think the number 1 left-handed reliever of all time.
Yeah, no, 100%.
I can't
yeah.
think of anyone else.
So,
and the problem is that he did exactly what he was asked to do in the era that he played in, the Mariano Rivera era.
The Rivera era
relievers were brought in. The closers were the closers. They only closed out games. They were just brought in for the 9th inning. They had nowhere to go up from there. They weren't pitching multiple innings. They were just pitching that one inning, and he did exactly that. And
I mean, maybe I don't, or maybe people don't agree with me on this, but it's my impression that with the Hall of Fame and with awards, I'm voting for the person who did the best at their job, not necessarily a contribution to the team. And the MVP award, sure, you can debate that, but with the Hall of Fame, I mean, what are we debating here? He was, like you said, he's the best left-handed reliever of all time, and he might not make it. Like, he hasn't been particularly close.
No, last year he was at 31.7%.
Right, and so, I mean, we just had Rivera be unanimous. It's like,
I think one thing that hurts Wagner a lot is that he bounced around. He played for, 5 teams for his career. I mean, he spent a lot of time in Houston during the Killer Bee era, but after that, he sort of bounced around and was still really good. And I don't think people were paying as much attention to him over time.
Right, and that's why I'm hoping that as younger writers get into the Writers Association and gets a vote, I hope that the mentality sort of changes, because it really shouldn't matter how many teams you played for. It really shouldn't matter what position you played for. It's just, were you a Hall of Famer? Were you elite for your career? Like, Wagner is undoubtedly yes for those questions.
Also, I hope Scott Rowland gets in. I mean, one of the best defensive third basemen ever, and probably the best third baseman of his era. And he's just criminally underrated.
Yeah, and the Hall of Fame's it's a tough one. The voters seem to be so stingy, but like at the same time, this would be the year for somebody who didn't have a lot of percentage to get in, like you said, because I don't think there's a shoe-in on this ballot right now. I think if you have enough people who put 10 people on there, somebody will get in, hopefully.
Right. Moving on, we have a trivia segment. Is that right?
Yep.
We sure do.
And hopefully we won't have to fact check any of the trivia questions, because we already did one.
For those wondering, the trivia card that I have said Jose Canseco was a Hall of Famer.
Yep.
which he's obviously not. He's most famous for a ball being hit off his head and being a home run.
Right. He is not a Hall of Famer. I don't even... When was he on the ballot?
Early 2000s.
Yeah, so, like... And this card was made in 2020. Like...
Yeah. And it said future Hall of Famer.
Right. So... That just has to be a misprint or something, because then you would have whoever made that card would have no concept of the Baseball Hall of Fame. Like, it just, there's so many reasons why that's incorrect. But anyways, let's try it. Let's give it our best shot.
All right. Whose nickname is the Splendid Splinter?
Ted Williams.
Who's that?
He's this really, really, really old baseball player, you know.
Oh, and he looked like a splinter. That's why they called him that?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool.
Whose nickname is Iron Horse?
Cal Ripken Jr.
Lou Gehrig.
Oh.
Okay.
Cal Ripken's the Iron Man.
Iron Man.
Oh, yep. There you go. Damn.
That's it, guys. Blake doesn't care about ALS.
Come
nickname is
on.
Blake, wait. Let me say this. Blake, on the record,
Yeah.
did you ever do the Ice Bucket Challenge?
I did.
Okay, never mind. We're good.
Yeah, I can
good.
clear my
Sure.
name. I have it. I have the video somewhere. I might have to go into the...
Okay, we're going to drop a link for that down under the podcast. You guys go check it out.
Yep.
Whose nickname is the Mad Hungarian?
Al Herbowski.
Yes, sir.
What? Anthony, have you heard of him?
I've heard of him. I would not have known that question.
Bro, what kind of... You just pulled that out of your ass. Just like some... Like, Al Herbowski. Like, sorry. What?
You can't even spell it, Blake. Try. Try to spell his last name.
I'm...
Herbrowski.
Wait, say that again?
Herbrowski.
Oh, this is going to be so wrong. Herb... No. All right.
Alright. Whose nickname is Crime Dog?
Fred McGriff.
Oh, yeah.
I need to find some that are more geared for a Red Sox fan to help you out.
Oh, right, naturally.
If an announcer is talking about the battery, which two players are meant?
AC/DC.
9 volt?
That's your catcher.
Yes. Whose nickname is Mr. Smile? This is an easy one.
Frankie Lindor.
Yep.
Is it? That's it? Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that. I didn't know that.
Whose nickname is the Penguin? I don't want to butcher his name.
Ron Say.
I was going to guess Danny DeVito.
Can we talk about that scene where he bites someone's face?
As the Penguin?
Yes.
You have to be clear, because he could have done that in It's Always Sunny. He could have done that in multiple things.
That could have been several. That could have just been him walking down the street.
Yeah, that could have been a real Danny DeVito thing.
All right. Whose nickname... Ryan, I'm hoping you get this one. Whose nickname is Scrabble?
Dan Quisenberry?
Mark Repshinsky.
Oh, yeah.
Man. Former Athletic.
What 90s baseball movie featured Benny the Jet Rodriguez?
Sandlot 2.
No, Sandlot 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
Because they flash back, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Whose nickname is Mr. Cub? This is an easy one.
Ernie Banks?
Yep. All right, the score right now, for those wondering, is a lot to a little.
Yep.
Whose nickname is the Secretary of Defense?
Hillary Clinton.
Ronda Rousey?
Gary Maddox.
That was close.
Gary Maddox.
Not
Greg.
Gary.
Gotcha. Okay. All right.
Let's say it's tied. This one wins. Okay? Let me try to find a more difficult one.
Do one that's not a nickname, like a...
Okay. A lot of the regular base questions are pretty easy, so that's why I've been doing the nickname ones.
That's fair.
Okay. This is an interesting one. While playing for the White Sox in 1904, Claude Berry was the first player to wear what?
1904?
He He was the first player to wear what? Ryan, any guesses?
Let's do. We each get one guess at a time.
Okay.
Sunglasses is my guess.
No. Blake.
Cleats.
Nope.
Catcher's mask.
Nope.
Batting gloves.
That was my guess when I first saw this question.
A cup.
Protect the family jewels is the correct answer.
Wow. Wow. Hadn't baseball been going on for like 20 years at that point? And nobody had thought of that?
Yeah. 1904 was the first soft baseball player to wear a cup.
I hope he got kicked out of the league.
Ty Cobb sharpened his cleats for him.
100%. That's a Cobb move. All right.
He's actually the crippled man that Cobb tried to fight in his hands.
Let's see. So why don't we move on to we'll talk some MLB The Show and we'll move on to I have a question. What do you guys think they're gonna do with awards cards for this year? Like, are they gonna release a card for each one? My guess is no, because they don't really do that a lot of the times. But what do you guys think? I think that would be cool. I just don't see it happening.
I agree. I think it would have been cool, but I think the way they did Finest, it's just not going to happen.
I'd like to see that next year, though. That would be nice.
Yeah, like next year we get an MVP, what's his name? I'm blanking.
Freeman, Abreu?
Freeman, thank you. Or we get a Cy Young Shane Bieber or a Cy Young Trevor Bauer. But all those cards already have 99s, so I don't see them doing that.
Yeah, it doesn't really make sense because you're just making a duplicate that's going to be like the finest card. Like,
exactly.
But I think... Yeah, maybe next year if they did it so that the awards, each person got a card. I think that would be pretty cool.
And then also do the Team Affinity Tier 4 Finest, but make it fan voted. I think that was a big hit in the community, and they should bring that back. And having the MVP cards would make sure that those guys got the cards that they deserve.
They wouldn't have to worry about balancing anything.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think also I kind of wish Finest was, I don't know, maybe slightly earlier. I feel like although you have to wait till the season's over, maybe, I don't know. I just think, I feel like there was just a long gap between Stage 3 and Stage 4 where I was just, the only thing you really had to grind was the inning programs, and that didn't take that long, so.
You could argue that you could do it in the postseason, but I think they wanted for the postseason to finish for cards like we got postseason Seager versus if we didn't get that postseason Seager, we would have probably got a Finest Seager. You know what I mean?
That's true.
So that's the nice thing is that they dropped that postseason program, which honestly I think they could have dropped that a little earlier as the postseason went on. The Corey Seager program, because they dropped the moments to get those cards, right? If I'm not mistaken, from every series.
Yeah.
But the first part of that program is like that 93 Chris Davis from the A's. But I feel like that could have been dropped a little earlier. So that would have been nice to grind before Finest came, but yeah.
Moving on to the Finest cards, which is your guys' favorite so far?
Unpopular opinion, my favorite by far, I shouldn't say by far, but my favorite is Manny Machado.
Wow.
I did like his swing using him in the showdowns. It was slow, but I got used to it, and looking at it right here, I'm actually hitting 364 with 8 tanks in 44 ABs. So he's been one of my best offensive players since being added to my team.
Yeah, that card's amazing. His swing just seems slow to me, and that was kind of my same concern, especially because I don't have the Padres program that far. It's at like 10%, so I kind of have to grind for him, and I didn't know if it was worth it, but after hearing that, I would reconsider.
If you get used to his swing, it's no big deal, especially that he has a very easy stance to get used to. He's just slightly open and has a slight leg kick, which, Blake, I know you like having. So that's why I like him a lot. My second favorite Finest card is Jacob deGrom. He's been my best starter since adding him as well.
Yeah, let's see. My deGrom, I think I've only pitched twice with him, and one of the games he kept it under control, but he kept giving up runs, and I really feel like the only thing kind of saving him is that outlier that people have to start their bat slightly earlier, and it makes the off speed even better. But I think without outlier, he's just like Garrett Cole, which just not that great of a card.
I was worried about that too, but I played a game last night against a World Series player with DeGrom starting, and I went seven innings, 1 hit, 1 run, 3 hits, and like 10 Ks. So he could
that's solid
against good players. To be fair, I was also locating very well, which did help. So that can be said with any pitcher, but I think he's a solid starter.
Yeah, I think my favorite so far has to be Salvador Perez. I think at catcher there's not a lot of depth, and his.
You're telling me you don't like Jacob Stallings?
I haven't tried him out. I can't comment on that. But Salvi's swing is amazing. Like always comfortable at the plate against whoever I'm facing. His defense, he's a gold defender with a good arm. I had thrown out a couple of people in like one game. He can hit against righties and lefties. I think my pick so far has to be Salvador Perez. Although Juan Soto is right behind him, I think it's just the defense because I'm hitting like 400 with him, and I still don't really like him in my lineup because I feel like outfield defense is crucial this year. Like that gold shield in the outfield is huge because those off the wall animations, just getting to balls and having a good reaction time is super important. So I don't know if he stays in my lineup, to be honest. I think with Griffey and Trout, Mantle, and I personally like Harper, but there's also Larry Walker. It's hard not to have those guys in your lineup because you can hit just as well with them and then also have good defense. Yeah. As far as pitchers go, I do like DeGrom so far. I think I just need to use him more and kind of get used to his motion. And I like the Nick Anderson too. I think he's a solid reliever. He's, for whatever reason, his motion's really hard to hit. And he doesn't even have a changeup, but you can still pitch with him against lefties. I do want to try out the Devin Williams.
It's funny that you mentioned that. I was just going to say I faced Devin Williams in 3 different games, and I've absolutely destroyed him.
Yeah, I'm worried that he doesn't have the pitch mix. I mean, the screwball's cool, the changeup's great, but fastball changeup doesn't work a lot in MLB The Show.
No, his changeup is very easy to read. The screwball is definitely easy to pick up on because what I've seen, it hangs a lot. And the cutter has very little movement that it's easy to hit as well.
Right. So I don't know if I'll actually be grinding for him or anything like that. What do you think, Ryan? Who's your favorite pitcher and hitter from the Finest series?
Favorite hitter has to be David Fletcher so far. I've hit 2 no doubt bombs with him online.
I can testify to that. One of those is against me.
Yes.
I am not ashamed of it whatsoever.
Absolutely mammoth of a man. He's everything you want. Power, speed. Ignore the ratings. He's 130 everything. Okay?
He just plays up.
Insane.
He's the new Pepe Alazar is what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's way more overpowered than Pepe Alazar. It's just not fair. Yeah.
I think what happened.
Pitcher,
oh yeah, sorry. Go ahead. Say your pitcher first.
Pitcher-wise, I've liked Liam Hendricks a lot. I haven't pitched with many of the starters. Marco Gonzalez he's good at keeping people off balance, but they'll catch on to him. Same with Ryu. They're the same pitcher, basically. I like Bauer's motion, but it's easy to locate, but it's also easy to pick up. So there's not too many good pitchers out of the Finest cards.
What do you guys think of Lamet? Because I've seen some very polarizing opinions of this card.
Well, Ryan rage quit out of his first start with him. I remember that. So
my guy was also starting 7 lefties 6 lefties and 2 switch hitters, and then his pitcher. So
sounds like my lineup.
It's hard to pitch to lefties with Lamet, but I do like his pitch mix. His slider primary works well. I'd like to touch on Williams. The ratings look really great, but if you look into it a little bit more, he has a windup, which I discount for a reliever pitching out of the windup. It's not a very well-hidden ball coming out of his hand. And then the order of his pitches. Because his primary pitch is a changeup, which is supposed to be his best pitch. I don't really like that. I like changeups to be a third or fourth best. You mentioned his screwball, which is really hard thrown screwball, but it's his fifth pitch, and
it just hangs.
Yeah. Looking at Daddy Leagues, I'd be sure that it has very little control on the pitch. For those of you who don't know and are listening, Daddy Leagues has it broken down by pitch type because each pitch has different velocity and control attribute on it. His cutter is his best pitch by far. It's 10 miles off his fastball, and it is valuable, but you're going to see a lot of people with him at first, and then it's just going to wean off because he's not game breaking.
Yeah, I think that it's really easy to look at his stats, and this happens with a lot of pitchers, but you look at the velocity and the break, and then there's 99s, and then you got the over 100 like hits per nines, K per nines, and you're like, oh man, this guy's going to be great, and then he's just hittable. Like at the end of the day, you can locate, mix up your pitches, he's going to be hittable. And I think that's the difference between pitching and hitting in this game is with pitchers, I think the stats don't matter as much as it does for hitters. I think it matters much more how hittable they are versus where hitters, like, you can have a great swing with somebody and break with them, but at the end of the day, if they have a weakness, that's probably going to show eventually. You're going to need like 99s, whereas pitchers, you're kind of relying much more on how hittable they are. Whatever definition of that, you might accept.
Speaking of relief pitchers, can we talk about the Run It Backpack coming Friday?
Yep, 99 Eck.
Excited.
97 Eck.
Wait, he's a 97?
Same as last year, yeah.
Same as last year, yeah.
Wow, how does he not have a 99? Why not a 99?
I'm just as confused on that as you are.
Bro, it's going to be late November by the time he releases, and it's not a 99?
Arguably, a top 5 closer of all time?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how he's only 97. I think the last time he had a 99, I didn't even have the game. I think it was when he was an Immortal in 18.
Yep.
Yeah. The good thing that Eck has going for him is he's not very hittable. Like, he's a tough card to hit, even if you sit on one pitch.
He has a lot of movement, and he has a very deceiving motion.
Yeah, so I think he'll be fine with the 97. I'm going to throw him right into my bullpen, no questions asked. I doubt he leaves it the rest of the year, but...
This is what I wanted to wait to bring up in the podcast. Who leaves my pen for Eck? So I have 99 Gossage, I have Liam Hendricks, Eric Gagne, and Raleigh Fingers.
As your righties?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know which one has to leave. I was thinking Gagne, but I looked at it, and he's been my best righty reliever consistently.
I would probably go Raleigh.
That's who I was leaning towards. I've used him the most, and I feel like people have seen him the most.
Yeah, and he also has that sidearm kind of motion, and I try and not have two guys like that in my bullpen just so that they're not seeing the same arm angle in the same game.
Right.
So I would probably go with Raleigh. I also don't pitch that well with Raleigh, so
right.
That's just my take.
More as of recently, I've been struggling with Raleigh too. So I think that is the right move. It just sucks though, being an A's fan, having to take out Raleigh.
But you're replacing him with Eck, so it's like
Eck,
yeah. So. Ryan, you have a question? Your hand's raised.
No, I'm clapping now.
Oh, you're clapping, right? Okay.
You guys are killing it. Amazing.
Nailed it. All right, yeah, no, I'm excited for Eck. I think the bullpen has been, for me, my bullpen has been a struggle. I mean, pitching in general in this game for me has been a struggle, but the bullpen, the 99s they're hard to come by. And,
you guys have any predictions for the other Run It Backpack choices?
No, I thought Eck was going to be an inning boss or something, but now they're saying that we're going to be able to get previous inning boss packs. So is there even going to be a boss? Maybe it's just the previous packs.
So. I think it's going to be the pack, and you get to choose previous bosses throughout the program.
I guess that's okay. I would have rather just had another new players, but what do you guys think about that?
I agree, but I also feel like the Run It backpack is just what would have been inning bosses, but easier to attain and quicker. And with that being said, I actually have two predictions of what they could be. Two predictions of what two of the 11 cards could be. One being we finally get a 99 Justin Verlander. And two, we finally get that Future Stars Adley Rutschman.
Oh, yeah, okay. Because his first one's the Prospect, the
Prospect
90.
That was a World Series award. Like the first one. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know who's going to be in the Run It backpack. I think I get it kind of seems just like a content dump. Like, well, we still got Eck and Verlander on the board, so we're just going to throw them in the Run It backpack and not do an 11th inning. Like, why not do Eck, Verlander, and a third hitter, or a third player that's a hitter as the 11th inning program?
I think they just have so many cards to still release. They want to just get it out now while they can.
So I was looking on Reddit a few days ago, and somebody released a spreadsheet of a bunch of players who we were expecting high overall cards for that we haven't got yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they could definitely include a few of these on in the Run It backpack. I'll just read some names off now real quick. Adley Rutschman, Brooks Robinson, Eddie Murray, David Price, Wander Franco, John Olerud, Omar Vizquel, Verlander, Bobby Witt Jr., who did he recently get a Future Stars or just the Prospect?
I think it was just the Prospect. I could be wrong though.
Okay, Lefty Grove, who's going to be endgame. Warren Spahn, going to be a great card to use.
Oh, that's so gross.
Bruce Sutter, Fergie Jenkins, Jake Arrieta, Ryan Braun, Bill Mazeroski, Willie Stargell, Jason Isringhausen, Luis Gonzalez, Targo, Monty Irvin, and Willie McCovey.
Okay, yeah. I think that a lot of those would make sense in the Run It back because they're not like the premier legends that you're going to want for an inning program, but they're also like high diamonds that people could use at this point in the year. That would make sense. You have to remember though that Arrieta is he kind of went into that Kurt Schilling, Aubrey Huff category. I don't know if we're gonna see a flashback from him, but it's a good card. I liked his cards in the past. I remember, I think it was 15. He had he was like one of the best starters in the game, like his live series was. And he has his.
He got I think in 16 or 17 he started getting the hardware card of that Cy Young season, and then you went to 18 and 19, I think it was, where they added the 125 cap, and the card didn't change. He dropped from like a 99 overall to a 93 because they didn't up his stats to update with the meta, or not meta, but stat changes, and it was just odd.
I remember the community kind of calling out a couple cards like that. Like I think Ellsbury, they did the same thing. And I know there were a couple others that were just kind of left untouched after the 125 thing. I don't really get that because like their stats didn't change. It was just the cap's different. So you have to scale potentially every flashback, right? You can't just leave them the same.
Right.
So I don't know. I think overall the content this year has been really good. I love when there's multiple cards to use. There's multiple versions of each card. I love the diversity. I don't want to see the same lineup every time. So I think I think one thing that they should do next year is go more into the version of the card from a previous game, like the
throwback cards.
The throwback cards, yeah, because
like the 85 Mondesi.
Yeah, there's a bunch of cards like that would be really cool to use, and you can relive your MLB glory days with a certain card. You can diversify your lineup a little bit.
I'd love to see some live series cards. because we had like live series Gallo last year and the year before. He was unbelievable. Like,
yeah, that would be cool.
He was an immortal, and if they brought back, like, kept the design of that year as what the live series looks like, that would be really cool. Just nostalgia.
Yeah, that would be a cool idea.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, I think at this point we're sort of wrapping up. Does anybody have any closing thoughts?
Don't drink and drive, Tony La Russa.
Yep. Looks like he didn't learn his lesson the first time.
About it when they hired him. White Sox knew about it.
Yeah, that's a bad look.
Yeah.
It's also not just bad, it's stupid. Like, to assume that people wouldn't hear about it. Right? Like,
well, do you know who he is?
Yeah.
La Russa.
He's a Hall of Famer.
He's a Hall of Famer guy. Like, man, I read that news and I was like, yeah, they said he got a DUI like, 10 years ago. And then, I looked at the tweet again and I was like, oh my God, that was 2020. I was like, oh no. Like, oh my God. And yeah, the fact that they knew about it, still hired him. It's just like, I mean, are there consequences nowadays? Like what's going on, man? And with Tony La Russa too, it's just not a good fit, or at least to the naked eye right now, it doesn't seem like a good fit. I think you got to go with somebody younger, somebody that can mesh with that team more, and then you hire a guy who has now multiple DUIs and, said some sketchy comments back in 2016, and it's just a mess.
I think would fit well with them, with the White Sox team? Gabe Kapler.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the whole younger coach, let the kids play vibe. I agree with that. I know people weren't too happy with his managing as far as like decision making, but when you're talking player relationships, I think it's going to be hard to beat that.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to the Show and Go podcast, where we bring you all of the Major League Baseball and MLB The Show content. I'm your host, Blake Anderson, former World Series champion, MLB The Show player, former 12-0, one-time player in MLB 17. We're here with Ryan Jones and Anthony Steller-Harter, and we're going to be signing off. Thank you.